Oh, yeah. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel for this week's movie mystery. Sorry about the delay on this one. I had jury service, which, wasn't really damaging for my mental state at all whatsoever. I really enjoyed it.
Liar!
But I'm back, baby! And the same as ever. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about yet another one of the many scandals of the golden age of Hollywood, and trust me, there are a lot. Today, I'm going to be talking about the stunt pilot B.H DeLay and asking the question, was his final flight sabotaged? Let's jump into it. Beverly Homer DeLay was born on August 12, 1891 in Alameda, California. I couldn't really find a lot, and by a lot I mean anything really, about his childhood, which seems to be a running theme on this channel. What I do know is that DeLay earned 2 engineering degrees, one from the University of California and the other from the University of Heidelberg in Germany. He first worked as a gold mine manager and then became a race car driver. Many of Hollywood's aviator stuntmen came from engineering, military, rodeo, and racing backgrounds. I guess it's kind of the same thing. If you can manage a horse and a car, then I guess you could manage a plane, especially when those planes are made out of wood. Daredevil DeLay, as he was known, broke a lot of bones in his racing career. Legend says that on one occasion he damaged his leg so badly that he walked with a limp for the rest of his life. Although some reports do say that this was because he had polio as a child, but I would be more inclined to believe the story about it being a racing incident because I read that in a book that was written by his great-granddaughter, so, you know. Throughout the rest of his career, he often had to be helped in and out of the airplanes because of this injury. Coming from a theatrical family with an over 100-year stage history, it seemed only natural that DeLay would also end up on the silver screen. Around 1919, DeLay would start working at the Thomas Ince airfield, owned by, you guessed it, Thomas Ince. He, by the way, was a film producer who was known as the father of the Western. In 1920, DeLay bought the airfield from Thomas Ince and renamed it DeLay Airfield. These men are so creative with their names, they really are. B.H. DeLay absolutely changed the game for the motion picture aviators. Some of his aviation feats included the first exchange from plane to car and vice versa, saddle to plane and vice versa, train to plane and vice versa, as well as the first knockdown of a building using an aeroplane. I'm not sure if this scene I'm about to show is in fact the particular knockdown scene that I mentioned before, but unfortunately a lot of DeLay's films are completely lost nowadays. But this scene in particular shows just how dangerous these stunts were. There were no health and safety guidelines back in the day. These people were really risking their lives for entertainment value. The scene was in a film called The Bellhop from 1921, directed by Norman Taurog and Larry Simon. DeLay was essentially tasked with flying over this barn with a rope ladder hanging from his plane, and the actor, who was stood on the roof of the barn, had to grab hold of the rope ladder and fly away just seconds before the barn below him exploded. The timing of stunts like this had to be so precise and exact, and you could not afford to mess it up because somebody's life was really on the line. Stunt pilots even became known in Hollywood as the Squadrons of Death. DeLay, however, was a master of these stunts, and he once even saved another stuntman called Bob Bartley's life. Bartley ended up dangling in front of the wheels of a car during filming. DeLay, however, managed to pull up the plane just in time before Bartley got crushed underneath the wheels of the car below him. In his career as a stunt pilot, DeLay successfully performed over 170 aerial transfers. But DeLay didn't just change the game in terms of what stunts were being performed. He literally founded the standards of aerial film performances, setting up the official going rates for stunts depending on how dangerous they were. If you're interested, by the way, aerial transfers were set at $100 per change, which in today's money would be about $1.5 thousand per change, which is just not worth it. That is not worth it even a little bit. DeLay's airfield also helped to establish aviator associations, which helped further solidify the standards of quality, rates, and safety. The airfield became a popular hangout spot for many of the Hollywood stunt pilots of the day. And a little fun fact for you, Venice, where the airfield was at the time, was considered an independent city, and they had to set up a special ordinance to stop low flights over churches on Sundays because of how often the pilots would disturb the people who lived in the neighborhood. Hollywood aviators were so popular at this time, they were treated like action heroes. It's such a shame that that didn't live on in today's world, because I don't think that I could name you one single stunt person working in Hollywood at the moment, and they really deserve that credit because they really are working very hard. DeLay's airfield also held numerous benefits, particularly for disadvantaged children and disabled war veterans. DeLay also apparently started the first airborne police unit in Venice, opened up his own motion picture stunt pilot school, and began passenger service out of Venice with an eye to safety never before attained. Also, before we get into the, sad and mysterious part of this story, I just wanted to add this little fun bit in for you. This is a picture of a chimp who lived with the DeLay family for many years and also performed a bunch of air stunts with DeLay, which is just mad. Apparently they had to get rid of the chimp because he was really jealous of DeLay's daughters and once tried to throw Beverly, one of the daughters, over the banister at their home. That is just mad, but then also, what did you expect when you had an exotic animal as a pet? Like, it's a wild animal, sir. What did you think was gonna happen? In 1923, DeLay was performing at a 4th of July airshow in Ocean Park in California in his plane nicknamed the Wasp. In front of a crowd of people, DeLay's aircraft failed 2,000 feet in the air in the middle of a dive, and him and his passenger, Rule Short, barreled nose first into the ground. The two were pulled from the wreckage shortly before the plane burst into flames. Neither of them survived. According to reporters on the scene, the plane's wings bent back as though on hinges. His plane, the Wasp, had two sets of wings you could install onto it, one meant for cross-country flights and the other meant for stunt flying. According to a friend, Moy Stevens, DeLay had reportedly ignored the warnings of the plane's builder. Fisk, which was the name of the builder, told him not to stunt the airplane with the cross-country wings, but he went up in them anyway and so the wings came off. Because of this, the LA County Coroner's Office ruled the death as an accident. The media, on the other hand, developed a far more villainous theory. They speculated that somebody had deliberately sabotaged DeLay's flight. It wasn't an accident at all. You see, on investigation of the wreckage, or what was left of it, it was found that the bolts holding the wings to the fuselage were way too short, which indicated possible tampering. These bolts were only about 3/8 of an inch when they should have been about 1/2 or 3/4 of an inch, which indicated that somebody had possibly put the wrong bolts in deliberately to bring DeLay's plane down. The problem was, though, that because the plane had burst into flames on impact, there wasn't really a lot for investigators to look at. So I suppose it made sense to just deem it as an accident. But what if it wasn't an accident? What would the motive have been to kill DeLay? Well, let me tell you. DeLay had been involved in a lawsuit at the time over the ownership of the airfield. You see, this guy called C.E. Frey insisted that he had bought DeLay Airfield from DeLay, but he couldn't produce any papers or anything to prove that this was true because it just wasn't even a little bit. But he, in his anger, had a couple of his cronies plant some posts in the middle of the runway at DeLay Airfield so that no planes could take off. Obviously, DeLay and his crew just moved the posts off the runway, so in retaliation, C.E. Frey's cronies then dug a load of trenches on the airfield. Frey did end up going to jail over these incidents, but realistically it was probably only for like 3 days, because I don't really know what you could hold him for. But as well as this, just days before his crash, DeLay was shot at in Clover Airfield, which is now known as Santa Monica Airport. I couldn't find out if police ever found out who it was that shot at him, but the media at the time speculated that it must have been C.E. Frey or one of his cronies, as DeLay didn't have any other public enemies. Although, having said that, I did read that DeLay was a bit of a ladies' man and had several extramarital affairs, and one time his wife even pulled a gun on him. So perhaps it could have been a disgruntled lover, or a boyfriend/husband of a lover, or even his own wife that sabotaged the plane. It's so annoying that this was so long ago because there's barely anything written out there about it, and I really want to know if the police ever did interview his wife or even C.E. Frey. Like, what happened to him? I want to know! By the early 1930s, it was estimated that of the top 23 aerial stunt performers, 18 had been killed and 4 were no longer able to fly because of injuries after major accidents. It does seem that a lot of the aerial stuntmen at the time did believe that DeLay's flight was sabotaged, as they moved over to Clover Airfield shortly afterwards. The DeLay Airfield has now been levelled and the property was converted into a real estate development. Whether B.H DeLay's flight was really sabotaged, I guess we will never know. And that is the end of the tale! In my personal opinion, I just feel like it could really be anything. Like, I don't think that it could have been an accident, because DeLay wasn't an idiot. He'd been flying for years. He'd done so many different stunts. You really think that DeLay would just happily fly with the wrong wings on? But then I can't see a motive for why somebody would want to sabotage. Like, I think the police obviously didn't really do enough with regards to the sabotage theory. They obviously didn't seem to interview anybody. Well, as far as I can see. As far as I can see, the police didn't really interview any, like, members of his family or his friends, or even, it could have even been like a disgruntled stunt pilot who just wanted to take over and thought DeLay was like killing it, and he was like, I wish that were me, I'm just gonna kill him off or something. It could have been anybody. What happened to Steve Frey? Who even is he, first of all? I'm guessing he was some kind of a mob man because it said his cronies. But, like, I can't even give you my own opinion or my own theory, because I'm just like, it could have been anything. It could have been bloody aliens. Who knows? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if it was a little bit sparse. I did do my best, but there's really not a lot out there about this story, but I really felt like I had to cover it because I've just never heard anything like this before, and I just thought it was so interesting. If you did enjoy, then please give the video a like and subscribe if you want to see more like it. If you want to follow me on any of my social medias, they will be linked in the description below, along with all the sources that I used for this video if you fancy a little bit of extra reading. Please comment down below if you have any other cases you'd like me to cover, or any of your own theories on this case. I'd love to read them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week for another movie mystery.